Welcome to Sports Weekly, San Antonio's only talk TV sports show. Around the horn, we got Richard, Don, and Jill. All right, on this week's show, has Tony Romo really reinvented the broadcast wheel? He's certainly being paid like he has. Should NFL players hold out for more player-friendly CBA? But we're starting off with the Dallas Cowboys and hot topic number one. If you're Dak Prescott and you do not get a long-term deal in place, should you hold out and use what leverage you have?
If I'm Dak Prescott, I'm getting my sunscreen, I'm getting my sunglasses, and I'm going to Cabo because I am holding out. Dak, listen to me, don't go. Hold out, make them pay you. Name another quarterback whose owner, GM, and coach has said, this is our guy, yet still does not want to pay him.
You know, I think the Cowboys do want to pay him. I don't think they want to pay him what he wants, which I believe is unreasonable. There's no way you hold out and miss out on $33 million, which is what he'll get if he gets the franchise tag. Because that's about what he's going to get when they sign him to a 5-year deal. He's going to get over $100 million guaranteed, and they're going to find a way to meet in the middle so that he can take $35 million a year instead of 40 or 42 or whatever. But why would you sit on the beach and miss out on $33 million when that's the money for the franchise tag? I don't see him holding out. Plus, it's just not in his nature. He's a really good kid. He's a team-first guy. He wants to do the right thing. The Cowboys want to do the right thing. This is all agents and business people going to finally meet in the middle.
I think the greatest, for you TV guys, the greatest thing will be him throwing passes to Des Bryant on the beach down in Mexico.
Yes.
That's going to be a lot of fun to watch, But no, he's not, I can't see him holding out. And to Don's point and to Jill's point, I think, Jill, you love a good beach. You've been there.
I love a good beach.
Sometimes it's hard to get motivated to work out the way you need to. And I think Dak's just too responsible for that. Plus, I really feel like in his heart of hearts, he knows that the big strength of this whole thing is having the star on the helmet. That's what's making him have any cachet in this situation. It's certainly not the talent. It's there, but he's not the guy that's going to carry that franchise to the next level.
All right, but if he gets franchised, there's no bonus. So he's only going to start getting paid when games start. So I'm not talking about holding out and missing the season and walking away from 33. I'm talking about new head coach, I'm the quarterback, you need me as much as I need you, and all the OTAs and the mini camps. And I mean, I'm thinking he's got some real leverage here. And he said walking out the door a couple months ago, write it down. If I don't get my deal, write it down. I'm thinking about holding out.
How much leverage does he have if Jerry Jones gives Tom Brady a 2-year, $60 million deal? So, I mean, the Cowboys have options too. You know?
True.
There's people, Shaq always said this, players are rich, owners are wealthy. There's a difference. And Jerry Jones is always going to have the leverage on Des Bryant. Although he did cave into Ezekiel Elliott. So.
He's caved in a lot when it comes to his guys. He's loyal to a fault, and I think he wants to get this done. I just think if you're Dak and you have been grossly underpaid by starting quarterbacks, especially starting quarterbacks who haven't missed a single game in their entire career and having as much success as he's had, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. Yeah. Alrighty, hot topic number 2. As for this broadcast, and at the taping at this time, odds makers are saying that the Spurs are still the second choice for the 8th seed behind the Pelicans, with the Grizzlies, Kings, and Blazers still behind the Spurs and Pelicans. But let's take New Orleans out of the mix just for the sake of arguing. And if you were a betting person, would you put your money down on the Spurs making the playoffs, or basically the rest of the field, the Grizzlies, Kings, or Blazers to take that 8th spot?
If I was a betting person, I'm not going with the Spurs for 1 second. They have not shown anything to convince me that this second half of the stretch of the season is going to be their season, or that they can miraculously turn this around. My faith is in Pop, yes, but I have not seen any indication that would make me want to put $1 down. I'm with the rest of the field. I'm with the Kings. I'm with the Grizzlies once they get a little healthier in the next couple weeks, but not the Spurs.
You know, when I was looking at this a week ago, I would have said that Portland was going to be the team. Damian Lillard's been hurt. He's coming back. Nurkic is coming back. I still think Portland has the second best chance. New Orleans, they said, has the easiest schedule. Then they lose at home to the Timberwolves, and then lose to the Mavericks this week as well. And now they were 5 games back as of this taping. When you look at the Spurs, they barely escaped in Charlotte. The team that's going to be the 8th spot in the West is going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. They're not giving it up. They beat the Lakers. They trashed the Nets by like 40 the other night. Ja Morant has put this team on his back, even though Jaren Jackson's gone. They're going to hold on to this thing. They got a 3.5-4 game lead on these teams. They're not giving it up in the next 20.
Yeah, I'd really like to give the Spurs, I think, have earned faith equity over the years. I mean, we look at this franchise, we think, look, somehow, some way, this is a team that will find the playoff pedigree down the stretch. But I'm with Jill on this. I don't see it. There's always that something, and it's always a razor's edge, and they don't seem to have it. They don't have that guy who has that mojo that's going to carry you at the end of a ball game. The games they do win, they survive. They weather this assault down the stretch. They don't put the foot on the throat and just kind of take control and win these things. So yeah, I don't think the Spurs do it. To your point, I think there's a lot of. Take your pick. I think any of these teams are going to race past the Spurs down the stretch. The Spurs schedule, they have a couple of easy games this week, and then it.
Are they?
Compared to. But then there's some teams that are playing some good basketball on that schedule down the stretch.
You look at what they have to do if they want to make the playoffs. They got to go something like 15-7, right, which sounds like in Spurs terms, oh, that's totally doable. This team is 10 games under 500. Almost. They're not a 500 team, much less 10 games above 500. Yeah. So there's just too much room to make up, I think.
And where I'm at is watching this team and watching the Spurs teams historically is you see at least at some point in the season where they look like they're starting to become a more cohesive unit and they're starting to gel. But these endgame scenarios look like at times like they haven't been coached all year, right? And I'm not putting this all on Pop. Obviously, the players have to get with the program too, but I mean, they've been lucky to win some of these games. I mean, the game the other night, Tim Duncan's first game, no timeouts. Basically, the last minute and a half looked like a street ball game, and blaming both teams on this. Teams missing layups, poor execution on both ends of the floor at the end of these games. It feels like you're just doing this, where seemingly to me in years past, you knew if there was a close game at the end, they were going to execute a play flawlessly at the end, and they were either going to make a shot or not. But this looks like helter-skelter.
Yeah.
Oh, the game the other night where they threw away the inbound pass at the end.
Accurate.
DeMar goes that way, the pass goes that way.
Every game it seems like that. All right, we're just getting started here on Sports Weekly. Up next, does Jerry need to stop thinking about Dez in the shower? And more right after this. Welcome back to the show. We're moving on to hot topic number 3. The NFL is trying to get a new collective bargaining agreement between owners and players, trying to avoid a possible work stoppage in 2021. Now, have the owners made enough concessions with this initial agreement, or do you believe that the players can do more if they continue to hold out and hope for a better agreement?
Here's the thing. With this new deal, if the players accept it, they'll go up to 48% of the revenue, which is up 1% than last year, or what it was previously, which was 47-53. Yes, that is great that they get a little bit more. They have the chance to get even more, half percentage more, if they sign on for a 17th game. So it's almost like, yes, we'll give you a little bit more, but you have to give us this extra game in return, which a lot of players have been very vocal about. Richard Sherman, also I believe Aaron Rodgers, saying there's a major health concern there. So with the question you're asking, should they push the line? If they want to get more, they have to give more. And it's at a cost now that a lot of the players are wondering, is this worth it, specifically health concerns wise with the 17th game? So I don't know if I even answered the question, but I think you have to take a look at this extra consideration, and I don't think a lot of players are going to like it.
I think they'll end up coming to a deal. The answer is no, because Red McCombs told me a long time ago, never take the first offer. If the owners make you that first offer, that means they're willing to go higher. What their number is depends. They're going to get a new $5 billion more in revenue to the players. The question is, do they get the 48% for the length of this CBA, or for the next 20 years when they renegotiate that TV deal, which is going to bring in billions and billions of more the way the television industry is going? I just think they need to make sure they get paid for the 17th game. They get paid for the incentive to have a bye. But I think they're going to end up taking a deal close to this. I think they're going to take a 17th game, and I think they're going to take the revenue. I just think they may get another half percentage or some more concessions. But I think they'll be close to getting a deal done.
It's interesting when you talk about this, it really is business and it's money and all that. And doesn't this just validates what we had talked about time and again about this being America's gladiators type situation. These are guys who are being asked to go out there and
kill each other
again, just for another, because we've made dark humor about this. A lot of these guys in 10 or 20, 30 years, check back in on these guys and see how they're doing. This is a difficult game that does difficult things to the body. I think they'll come to an agreement because it's about money. And with the NFL, it's always been about money. The players are collateral. They're collateral pieces. That's the way it's always been. And that's the way it's going to be in this situation.
I just think
billions of dollars.
Yeah, I think they can get more, though. I mean, I think to Don's point, I mean, if this is their first offer, I think they're willing to go a little further, but it's risky if you're the player.
You don't push it too hard.
That's right.
A nudge.
All right, time for Fact or Fiction. Fact or Fiction question number 1. Judson's Alton Robinson of Syracuse will be at least a third-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft.
Fact. Had the third fastest 40 time out of defensive linemen that participated.
Man, you're good in Vegas. If you'd have said fourth round, I'd have said fact. You say third round,
Third
you
round.
make me think about it. Oh, it's close. You'll be a late third or an early fourth, but I'll say faction.
Faction.
I'll be the other. I'm going to say fiction. I think he's too much of a project. He's been too stiff, and he can be as fast as he wants to be, but he's having a hard time getting past blockers. I mean, the knock on him is that he's just one of these guys. It's just explosive first step, but there's also the second and third step, and that's where he has some problems.
His draft combine grade says that he's going to be a starter in year 2, so I don't know. It's going to be an interesting draft, that's for sure.
Who gets him and who molds him.
That's right. All right, Fact or Fiction. Jerry Jones should stop thinking about Des Bryant in the shower and just bring him in for a workout.
No, fiction. Just stop thinking about Des Bryant, but don't bring him in for a workout. How about think about Amari Cooper in the shower?
I looked at this quote 100 different times. I was looking where commas were. I was looking quickly because I didn't know if Jerry was thinking about Des while Jerry was in the shower or if Jerry was thinking about Des while Des was taking a shower. I just need clarification.
I'm going to say, fiction, fact?
Okay.
Faction.
And then fact.
Yeah.
All right, up next, is Tony Romo really that good at calling football games? And more right after this. Welcome back once more, and we're moving on to IHOP Rankings of the Week. Alrighty, panel. If Tony Romo is worth $17 million a year to call football games, how much is Troy Aikman worth, or even Chris Collinsworth?
I love Troy Aikman. I love Chris Collinsworth. Both of them phenomenal broadcasters. But Tony is the best.
You're crazy.
I love Tony. Call me biased, call me whatever, but actually, the sports broadcasting world to me is, because I am a little younger, I've only seen such a spectrum. And I will say this, that when Tony came on the stage, he just grabbed me and took me away. When he calls the play before it happens, the way he breaks it down for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of other non-football players that are still learning the sport. The way he broadcasts and breaks everything down, it's phenomenal.
He's entertaining for sure. What's funny is he gets more plays wrong than he gets right when he predicts, but nobody brings that up.
I don't know about that.
Or telling Aaron Rodgers how to run a 2-minute offense is my favorite.
The play caller's got it wrong. Tony had it right.
Yeah, I mean, everybody makes, you can watch a tape on YouTube and you can see him making all these Nostradamus predictions and they're all right. What they edit out is the millions
The
of
ones
ones
that
he's
are
out.
wrong.
The thing is Chris Collinsworth is very knowledgeable. Troy Aikman, I think, is the best at what he does in his craft. But Tony Romo is likable. And people like him because he's energetic and he's fun and he's having a good time. But if I'm Troy, I'm asking for a new contract.
Amen.
What would John Madden have made?
He made $8 million. He was the highest, and that was the record.
What would he have made today? If Tony Romo, just because you talk about likable and a guy that kind of played to the crowd, he was but Tony Romo, $17 million?
But to put that in
how
perspective,
likable you are.
to put that in perspective where the other guys are, Joe Buck, 5, Al Michaels, 6, all these guys are making Jim Nance.
And guess who's
his
all
partner.
about to get raises because of this?
Yes.
And those guys
So they should be thanking Tony right now.
100%
Thank you,
accurate.
Tony.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Hate the game.
What Don said. All right, Thomas J. Henry hot seat. Let's put the entire sports world on notice for not being the Dallas Cowboys and how they do business. All right, Jerry Jones at the Combine gives reporters 90 minutes of his time in a very candid interview on the party bus, no less. And then new head coach Mike McCarthy took all of the Cowboys beat writers out to dinner at the Combine. Now, whether you speak bad about the Cowboys or speak good about the Cowboys, they do business with the press better than anybody. Now, the question is, should other franchises follow suit, or is this just way too over the top the way the Cowboys do business, and is there a reason why nobody does business like the Cowboys?
It's not over the top. It's the Cowboys through and through. That's how they've built their franchise. That's how they've been working their way through ever since, you know, this franchise took off and the star became what it was. Other franchises don't need to follow suit, though. They can have their own identity. I would like to draw the comparison to the Spurs. Spurs run their organization very differently than everyone else. Same with the Cowboys. It's to the identity, the personality, who you have. Obviously, Jerry is on top calling the shots, but I don't think it's over the top.
You know, Chuck and I are old enough to cover the Cowboys way back. They're the best at it. They bring you players, they bring you guests during training camp, but Jerry learned this from Tex Schramm. I'm old enough to have covered Tom Landry and Tex Schramm, and you would go down to the locker room and you would get all the sound. You'd go back to the press box after the noon game, and Tex Schramm would have an open bar for the media till midnight if you wanted to, and these guys would file their stories at 6 or 7 o'clock at night and hang around and drink till 9 or 10 o'clock, and Tex would entertain them all because he said if you're being nice to them, they're more inclined to write something nice about you. And he taught that to Jerry Jones.
And think about even Michigan State. You can look at some other players. Michigan State, Tom Izzo makes all of his players give the media their cell phone numbers, says, look, just talk to me first before you write anything, give me a chance to respond. Franchises that do that, confident, they feel good about what they do. I like it.
They're in the entertainment business, so entertain us. Alrighty, that's this week's Thomas J. Henry Hot Seat. Final rants on the way next. What is the monkey the panel is trying to get off its back? Here's this week's Final Rants.
It's a sad part of reality, but the truth is marriages split up all the time. After years of dedication, commitment, love, sometimes it doesn't work out, and you move on and you try to find a better companion, or in this case, a better offensive line. Tom, it's time to move on. You've been with Bill for over 20 years now, and while you two have had one heck of a run, it's time to go your separate ways. I know, you guys put on a ring 6 different times, and you have a photo album full of special memories together in Foxborough and all over the country. But Tom, your window is closing, and if you want another one of those rings, you need to find someone who will drop everything for you, including that paycheck. Bill has been loyal and logical and extremely serious through this whole thing, but that doesn't mean he's allowed to hold you back. Ask yourself, what do I really want? If it's more money and a chance at another ring, then you know what you have to do. But if it's complacency, cold weather, and sleeveless hoodies, well, that's just deflating.
Well, the Twitter outrage is back. Coach Pop sits out, Tim coaches the Spurs, and Becky Hammon is somehow disrespected. I said this on Twitter. I know Becky. I love Becky. Becky's a friend. Becky is supremely qualified to be an NBA head coach, and I know I should just move on. But at some point, it's got to be said. The truth is the truth, and we shouldn't be afraid of the fringe morons in mom's basement hiding behind the generic avatar and their 4 followers. Tim is more qualified than 90% of NBA coaches who sit on any bench, no matter what their gender is or how long they've been on the bench. He's Tim Duncan. He has more valuable experience than just about anyone. He's been in every situation, seen every adjustment. He's got a degree in psychology. He's balanced egos of teammates. He's motivated. He's led. And he was the best teammate in the NBA maybe ever. So spare me the outrage. And if you missed my last tweet, it's because you're blocked. Here's the good news. You can create another nameless, faceless, cowardly account with 0 followers and still only have 4 less than the ones you do now.
There's little doubt that baseball heads into the 2020 season with a few problems to deal with. Between the Astros scandal, debates over potential changes to the postseason structure, and continued efforts to speed the game up, The grand old game is wheezing like a senior leaguer legging out a triple. In recent months, we heard how technology has been an enemy of the diamond, but I'm here to tell you it could be the hero. At one of the spring training games this week, members of the Chicago Cubs were mic'd up. It made for some great stuff, and it got me thinking, why not do this all the time? Mic up the players, the managers, the umps. Let Trevor Bauer tweet his insanity during the game. Live stream some video inside the dugouts. Choreograph a post-home run TikTok dance of some such. Have batters wear a GoPro on their helmets as Garrett Cole unleashes a fastball from the mound. Like at the All-Star game, let the announcers interview a player during the game. I'm up for all of it, because that might bring baseball back to something it once was, worth watching.
Make sure you check out Jill at sportstonight.com, Richard on the podcast, What's Brewing Sports, and of course Don on News 4. I'll see you on Max Sports tomorrow night on Fox San Antonio. That is this week's show. We'll see you next Saturday at 5, everybody.